Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to talk about player character death. We're going to talk about Knigobi's brand new video, The Impermanence of Player Characters, Making Death Matter in Dungeons and Dragons. Fantastic video. And today I want to talk about backup characters. So this is the hill I want to die on. Oh man, I am so I've done multiple videos on this topic, but I'm not going to let it go because I feel like it is one of the most powerful mistakes made in Dungeons and Dragons today. Backup characters are always a mistake. Okay, always. They are, honestly, I really feel if you are a player, your ears better perk up when you hit a dungeon master who requires a backup character. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is Knigobi talked about backup characters in her video. And she said, I encourage players to make a backup character, right? So that they have something to hope for, right? But if you, I challenge you, link below, there's Knigobi's video, right? Watch it start to finish. She says that she encourages player characters to make backup characters. However, if you listen to the rest of the video, there are so many things she says that make this make this very clear that it is wrong. It is shockingly wrong. It is not correct to make a Dungeons and Dragons. It is not correct to make a backup character for Dungeons and Dragons. So one of the things she said that she encourages players to take the knight, right? Like they could, like if a player character dies, right? She runs a very powerful narrative game, right? And so she knows that players are going to be invested in their player character, right? So if those player characters die, right, she encourages them to take a night off, right? Well, my question then is, if you're encouraging them to take a night off, haven't you already undermined your own request to that player character? Haven't you already undermined your request to players by having them make the backup character? If they have a backup character, they are ready to play that night, okay? Right there. And if you're not going to pressure them, what makes you think that somebody else at the table is like, well, there's no reason for them to not play. They have a backup character. Let's go, right? I don't want this person to miss any of the action. Now, the problem is, what they don't understand is they are going to miss not action. They're going to miss the opportunity to. There's so many things that are wrong with this, and she actually lists half of them in the video, right? So one, if they have the backup character, right, they are highly incented to skip the morning period, which might be just remaining silent for the rest of the game or going home, right? The other thing, this is really wild too. I didn't even think about this, and I don't think this isn't on Knigobi. We're just starting this conversation, right? But one of the things I've been thinking about is what do you do? Like, we have not even talked about this. We're starting to talk about this. How do we manage player character death, right? I was the only person saying this is a very serious moment, right? Knigobi is now saying this is a very serious moment, right? Let's give people a chance to mourn, right? Let's give people a chance to think about this player character they've died. If you've already made the backup character, you are massively undermining what you're encouraging them to do, right? You're very they are already incented. Oh, I already have it in the sheet. Let me just skip it. I'll jump in. Nobody needs to mourn my character. Nobody needs to think about resurrection. I don't need to write notes about the character. It's already there. You've already given them access to begin to move into a mode of you're already incenting them to skip all the necessary things to actually make death matter, right? You have provisioned them with what they need to skip every step, right? So and if you listen to Knigobi's video, she lists the many reasons, right? Like this mourning period, this ability to write down things that you miss about the character, the ability to even give the other player characters a minute to miss play from that player, right? There's so many reasons that backup characters are terrible, absolutely terrible, right? The other, and so yeah, so all the reasons that we just talked about. And then in addition to that, because you have this character right there, you as a dungeon master are already shoehorned into immediately introducing that character. There hasn't even been time to bury them because the person's still at the table and is introducing a brand new character, right? In addition to that, there's no time to there's no time, like, you're introducing this new character, but the player characters are not in any space to receive a new person. They're like, this person, the space you're standing in, that person is dead and not even buried yet. It is so bad, right? And if you do not have the player character built, it gives the player all the time in the world and every excuse and every reason, and literally provisions them to say, let's do something special. Let's do something meaningful. Let's take the time to board this character. Let's not immediately shoehorn in another meaningless character that nobody knows and that is literally standing in the shoes of a dead person who never even got buried because there wasn't time, because the backup character made sure there wasn't time and was immediately ready to be shoved into the story by the player, who's probably in shock, not by the dungeon master, because Knigobi says that she doesn't encourage this, but definitely by another player, right? Like, so another player, what are the odds that your 4 other players, one of them is going to be like, and get this, they could be meaning well, right? They could be saying, okay, I mean well, I don't want this person to miss the action of the game, right? But right now is not the time to miss the action of the game. It's the time to miss the player character that just died. And if the backup character isn't there, it guarantees there's a time. It also allows there to be a massive period, right? Days or even weeks where the new player character that is brought in can be informed by the sorrowful learnings of the player, right? From what they lost. They have time to think about my player character just died. What did I love about that character? What did I not like about it? Now I get a chance to set my next character with the benefits of, now I get this chance to set my next character with all the benefits of what I learned from my last character. It's really important. It's really nice, right? And it can really fix something very significant and something very powerful, right? It can give this chance to make the next character fix problems that were not fixed with the last character, right? In addition to that, I also was thinking with this Knigobi video really just set my mind reeling about player character death. Really phenomenal. I was very impressed with this video. So the other thing is, so if the player character dies and you don't have a backup character, which is what you should, I challenge you, listen to what she says. She says, oh, I have to make a backup character, but then I'm encouraging them not to jam it in. But then why did you have it built, right? Like, people don't build something to not use it. You don't build a house and then not go in, right? If you build a backup character, you are going to crush any possibility of that player character death getting even remotely the attention it should get from the player, from the dungeon master, or from the other players, right? It is an abominable mistake. It is such a powerful mistake. It is a serious, serious mistake at many, many levels, right? This is the hill I want to die on. This is the hill I want to die on. This is important, people. All right, let's get all the way there. The other thing it made me think of is, okay, the player character dies, right? Now, what do you do with that person, right? Honestly, the more I think about it, I really think that the correct response to a player character death is the entire table shuts down for a very practical, real reason. Let's talk it through. Okay, what is the real practical reason? Well, frankly, if you're like me, right, and you want a player character death to matter, if you're like Knigobi and you want a player character death to matter, then it is going to matter, right? And this person is going to be shattered, right? They're going to be sad, right? they either sit in silence for the rest of the game, which gets weird for the other players, I think, right? Or that other person could drive home, right? We don't let people drive when they're under the influence. This is similar to driving under the influence, and you'd be driving under the influence of grief, deep sorrow, an emotional shattering, right? So the reality is, the more I think about it, if you are playing a Dungeons and Dragons correctly, and people are going to actually care about their player character, then a player character death is literally something you need to think about practically. Is that person capable of driving? They may be very sad. They may be very emotional, right? And so that is important to understand, right? And I think, if that kind of thing happens, you may have a player character. You as the dungeon master say, "Hey, let me drive you home," and or I at least go with them, right? And and so from the very practical perspective of, if player character death matters, it could really produce a very strong emotional response. And a caring table may want to consider, hey, maybe you take an Uber home. Maybe I pay for it. I'm going to call you an Uber. That kind of thing, right? It's a big deal, right? And I love that Knigobi did a video that made me think even more deeply about player character death. And you will find no less than 20 videos on my channel about player character death. I've already thought very deeply about player character death, but she made me think even more deeply. Knigobi is a major new voice in D&D commentary. Watch her videos before mine. She has a great channel, better channel than mine. You need to be on this. And I thought this was a phenomenal video. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.